Now, it's my honor to please welcome tonight's keynote speaker, one of JA of Georgia's 2025 19 under 19 students to watch, a senior at Northview High School, Erika Gabrielson.
People sometimes ask me, how did you get to where you are? And honestly, I never know how to answer that quickly. Because the truth is, I didn't get here alone. I got here because people believed in me, long before I knew how to believe in myself. I got here because someone saw something in me before I ever saw it in the mirror. I got here because of junior achievement, and especially because of 3DE. It's funny. The whole reason I joined 3DE in the first place was because of my sister. She did the program, but she was somewhat quiet and reserved. And when I stepped in as a freshman, I thought I would be the exact same way. Back then, I was shy, very shy. COVID had hit me hard, way harder than I realized. And by 8th grade, I could barely hold a conversation, even with my friends. So when I stepped into 3DE, I did my work. I got good grades. But speaking up, presenting, working on a team with people I would never talk to anyways, I had no idea how to do any of that. So at first, I stayed behind the scenes. Even when I joined the 3DE advisory board, I stuck to the quiet work, social media. But somewhere along the way, little things started changing. Every 6 weeks, we were pushed, sometimes forced out of our comfort zones. We had to present, we had to lead conversations, we had to work in teams, even difficult ones, and slowly, awkwardly, I found myself growing. It wasn't instant, it wasn't dramatic. It was more like a series of small cracks, each one letting a little more confidence through. And then came the moment that I jumped. In my sophomore year, I applied for a Rotary Youth Exchange scholarship. My parents said, absolutely not. They thought it was too unrealistic, too expensive, too scary. And honestly, I thought it was unrealistic too. But something in me whispered, if I don't push myself, who will? And when the acceptance call came, when they told me I was going to Brazil, I froze in the hallway. I couldn't believe that I, the shy kid, who could barely speak freshman year, had just been chosen to live abroad for over 10.5 months. Brazil changed me in ways that I never expected. The language was hard, the culture was different. The school was tiny, only about 500 kids, and they didn't have any clubs, teams, or anything like 3DE. But the biggest shock came the day I watched my new classmates present for the very first time. And I remember thinking, oh wow, they need help. Not because they weren't smart, but because no one had ever taught them the skills that 3DE had once taught me. So I did something I never would have done 2 years earlier. I led. I helped create a 3DE-style public speaking club in English, in Portuguese, in whatever language we could make work. I went classroom to classroom recruiting students. We struggled, we failed, but we tried again. And eventually, the club came alive. Students started learning how to build presentations, how to speak confidently, how to work in teams. The exact skills that 3DE had once given me. And the best part, the club is still running today. 2 clubs, actually. 2 clubs, actually, including one focused on volunteer work. But the biggest risks sometimes come with failures. When I came back to the United States, I ran for the president of my 3DE advisory board, and I got the role. But then, in my very first meeting, I fell flat on my face. I didn't know everything that had changed while I was gone. I took too big of a step, way too fast, and people noticed. But that failure taught me something. You can take a big leap, fall, and still stand up stronger. So I met with my vice president, which is Vanessa Hahn, another amazing 19 under 19 honoree. And I asked every single question I was afraid to ask, and learned everything I had missed while I was in Brazil. And from that point forward, I became the leader that I truly wanted to be. That's the thing that no one tells you about confidence. It doesn't come from perfection. It comes from failing safely and trying again. That's what 3DE and junior achievement have given me. A space to fail, a space to learn, a space to grow, a space to speak before I felt ready, until one day I actually was. And somewhere between the case challenges, the leadership roles, Brazil, and stepping into rooms I'd never imagined myself in, I found my voice. Not the quiet one, not the scared one, not the one that just says the right answer, the one that leads, the one that speaks up, the one that believes you have to take a risk to get the reward. So no, I didn't get here alone. I got here because junior achievement created opportunities that changed my entire life. Because 3DE pushed me in ways I needed even when I didn't want it. Because mentors listened to me, challenged me, and expected more from me, even when I was still figuring out who I was. Junior achievement didn't just give me skills. They didn't just give me leadership. They didn't just give me opportunities. They gave me my voice. And that voice has taken me further than I have ever imagined. Thank you.